Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel, and you're welcome to Linkway Diplomat Hour, your community resource network program. Today, I have with me about three guests. Number one of my guests will be Honorable Chief Valencia Stovall, who is a former Georgia lawmaker. She's also a former Georgia Senate candidate, as well as a former U.S. Senate candidate. Honorable Chief Valencia, you're welcome to the program. Thank you so much. Yes, on the lighter note, I understand you traveled to Africa recently. And I know you enjoy the spicy foods and all the delicacies of Africa. Tell us a little bit about your trip to Africa recently.
Yes, I really did. That was my first trip was in October, and it was definitely an eye opener. Um, different culture and everything, but it was something that I had been desiring for some years because of my relationship when I first got introduced to the Yoruba culture through the late High Chief Emmanuel Adeyemo. And I spent about 10 years talking to him back and forth and him educating and sharing with me all the, not all, but a lot of the intricacies of the Yoruba tribe and the community. And so from that point, I said, oh, I want to visit, but not knowing that God has a way of doing things that we really don't know at the time how it's going to end up, the after effect of it, and not knowing that I was going to end up doing an ancestry DNA for my on my dad's side that said that his dad's dad actually was of the Yoruba tribe. And by that time, I had already done the Yoruba Day at the state capitol when I was a state legislator, and that was the first time it ever was done in Georgia, is recognizing the tribe. And we done some celebrations. We even welcomed the Oluwu of Owu, His Royal Majesty Saka Matimola. Miola. I've been practicing that. And he came to Georgia. We welcomed him. And when I went to my trip to Nigeria during that time, excuse me, I actually was installed as a chief by His Royal Majesty Rasak Famuyiwa, but I always call him King Jimo in Papalanto. And so it was a full trip. We got a chance to go to Badagry, which was a desire that most African Americans want to go back to where slavery actually started from. And so that was a lifelong dream, being able to go and visit there and visit a lot of other historic sites. I went to Olamu Rock my second time going. So just engulfing into the traditions and the culture, which is something totally different than what I have here in America.
Wow, it's amazing. We are all brothers and sisters in the world. You see that you and Mr. Demo, that you actually tried, to bring him back to life. Now he's deceased. But all the sovereign, you realize at last that is not in vain because you guys are related. And congratulations on your chieftaincy title. And we will get to talk about that. Thank you and welcome to the program once again. Yeah, a question to you. My first question will be that you have been a successful politician. You have been in the politics of the United States for a long time. And I know that you also have a lot of connection with Nigerian American, especially Nigerian in diaspora. You have been a friend, you interact with NIDU, especially the South Savannah chapter, a lot. So now, what do you think are the resources that are available in the United States that we can collaborate with Africa, especially the nation of Nigeria, and in particular your own state of Ogun State?
Yes. So, there are always a lot of opportunities, and like I said, this particular project is more than just a project. It's very personal for me. And so, as a legislator, I served on the Small Business Development Committee. I also served on the Economic Development and Tourism Committee, which allowed me to be able to travel across the state and find out a lot more that's been going on and how our state actually operates. For those who don't know, for 13 years, the state of Georgia has been recognized as the number one state to do business in. And majority of our the amount of income that comes into the state is through agriculture, whether it's coming in or going back out, imports or exports. So we are a huge agriculture state, which is very good because Nigeria, the country Nigeria, is huge agriculture, and Ogun State is huge in agriculture. So there are a lot of ways that we can be able to collaborate together. It all starts with unity. And the whole purpose, even centered around the whole Yoruba Culture Day, is to be able to bring African Americans, the Africans in the diaspora, and those Africans that are still living in Africa together in a unified effort. And this particular project will allow that to happen. When you look at for the state of Georgia, the sustainability, there are some things, of course, agriculture wise, that we don't grow, but we are consumers of those different types of products. But with everything, it always starts with policy because you have to have a welcoming policy and a workable relationship in order for anything to work. And as a former legislator, I stayed involved, do an annual event at the state capitol every year. So I'm still involved in what's going on, do a lot of advocacy in the community. And um, and so one of the things that I want to kind of talk about, just to give some data, statistical data, because it's always good. With Nigeria being one of Africa's largest economies, but under-tapped in direct trade with the United States. A trade data of 2023 says exports from Georgia to Nigeria is approximately $340 million. The imports from Nigeria to Georgia is approximately 170 million. Now, when you look at other countries that Georgia, the state of Georgia does business with, 66% of the exports and 83% of total trade originated in what we call strategic markets, um, where Georgia maintains international representation, which means they actually have an office located in these foreign countries. That's what contributes to a large number, a greater number of money that's being made, sales, whether it's import or export. So Georgia's top trade partners, just so I can give a brief overview, in Mexico, it was 18.6 billion. This was in 2023. China was 17.2 billion, South Korea 16.6 billion, Vietnam 6.7 billion, and Germany 11.8 billion. So you heard me talk about the billions, and then when I said earlier was the millions. So now you can see why I
Mm-hmm.
said there's a great opportunity, a huge
Mm-hmm.
gap in that. And a lot of times people say, well, how does that even could take place? Like I said, it comes with start with partnership and a conversation, and having a willingness from both entities, both government levels, and also bringing in public-private partnership. And that's where, of course,
Mm-hmm.
Linkway Diplomats and others like Linkway comes into play because you have to have that public and private partnership in order for anything to work on a massive scale.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for those detailed information. I was looking forward to hear the statistics, or the number in billions that your state of Georgia has actually traded with Nigeria and what benefit came. But I didn't hear any billion, trade between Nigeria. So how would you actually, especially your own state of the state of Ogun State. Recently, we went to that place, and the state was so friendly, from government to the citizens. They were so friendly. We built up, Linkway Outreach Africa, the facility there. We call it resource coordinating facilities, and you could tell that the people the citizens are lovers of innovations like that. So, how would you speak, to the government of Ogun State? What is the gray areas in terms of benefit if they are going to go in bilateral trade, especially in agriculture with the state of Georgia? What are those gray areas?
Right. So, of course, with any project, there's always challenges. And then I always say with every challenge, there's always a solution. Some solutions take a little bit longer than others, but there's always those possibilities. I would say that some of the challenges that I've noticed and witnessed as visiting Ogun, and that's where I spent majority of my time for both visits, was in Abeokuta. We did go to Lagos, but most of the time was spent there in Ogun State. And so, of course, the poor infrastructure is one of those challenges. The policy gaps that there may take place, and that means that in Georgia, of course, there are certain things that we do, and then being able to see how to align the benefits for Georgia and the benefit for Ogun, because you're talking about two different entities, two different structures. That is, so that means that there has to be conversations with the policymakers
Exactly.
about what are those policy gaps. Another one is cultural business barriers. So, of course, the way that Nigeria and Ogun does business is different than how we do business and how we are accustomed as Americans of doing business. Then access, even the access for women. In Georgia, we promote a lot when it comes to women business, women entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur myself here in Georgia, and so those might be some of the challenges. But some proposed solutions would be, like I mentioned earlier, the public and private partnerships that can be formed. Bilateral legal task force. So forming a task force to get the conversation started. Intercultural training. So we have to be able to have some training for us as Americans on how to do business with in Nigeria and Ogun State, and vice versa. How does Ogun State and those public and private partners there understand how to do business with Georgia? Gender specific funding and laws. So that kind of all of those are just some on the surface when I talk about surface solutions that could be made. And with that, of course, you always have the universities and the colleges. I know there's some outstanding universities and colleges located in Ogun, in Nigeria as well. Just like in Georgia, we have some outstanding colleges and universities that specialize in certain focus areas that could be maximized with that type of public-private partnership. So there's some things that we developed in Georgia, just like there are some things that Ogun has developed and Nigeria has developed. And so being able to see how we're able to cohabitate together or collaborate together and seeing how it's going to be beneficial. And anytime you have a public-private partnership, there's always have to be a benefit for both parties, with that. And so that's what we're pushing for. What's going to be good for Georgia, what's going to be good for Ogun, and at the end of the day, what's going to be beneficial for the people of Georgia and the people of Ogun and Nigeria as well.
Thank you so much. Let's move on now to immigration policy to see how our people can benefit from that. Recently, we saw that Nigerian Americans or Nigerians that are living in the United States were caught in the web of new immigration policy. Some people are actually living with the fear of deportation. What advice do you have for such individuals?
Well, definitely because everything is centered around legal, and I've been watching as well a lot of legal challenges to with current policies that the new administration has been putting in place that was not usually in place. So the advice I would give would definitely be, identifying a legal attorney that specializes in immigration, because these particular policies are changing one day at the next day at the next day, and those being able to be in direct contact with those in the legal field will be best, because everybody's situation when it comes to immigration is different. I'm not an expert in immigration. I'm just learning a lot about it now. But I do know that when it comes to America and it comes to the court system, that's usually the almost last remedy that you have as far as trying to get justice. And sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't work, but majority of the time it does work. So that's the best advice I can give them is getting in contact with the immigration attorney, one that has experience in navigating through the U.S. system would be the best advice. And then those also getting in contact with your elected officials on the federal level. So your U.S. congressperson and your 2 U.S. senators would be ideal. Again, to stay in contact with their office so that they'll know every time something is changing. And if it affects you, then you're also having someone else that's actually being an advocate for you as well in Washington, D.C.
Thank you so much, Ms. Stover. Another question that people are asking is that, very early in Donald Trump's administration, he announced to stop the funding of United States Agency for International Development, USAID. And some people lost their job. I have my personal friends that lost their job. And some people see the situation as a blessing in disguise. So what's your opinion about that for Africa as a whole? That have been most of the countries in Africa are beneficiaries of this, funding. But now the fund is no more there. So what's your opinion? What's your advice to Africa and all that in terms of economic development moving ahead?
I definitely would say Africa as a whole, and this comes from me being an African American and having ancestral roots, is that we know how to overcome.
That's true. Mhm.
Even when I went and visited Nigeria, I was just amazed and in awe at how, no matter the situation that the people found themselves in, they made a way. And so when I think about that, and even the struggle that we've had here in America, being African, being of African descent, always made a way and figured it out. And I think that when it comes down to the continent of Africa and no longer having access to those funds, is that this is definitely an opportunity for Africa to figure it out. And most of them have already figured it out as far as what's next. How do you work together? I know that that Africa already has a international trade program that they had already implemented in for you to be internally being able to trade among the different countries located in Africa, finding out, okay, which country does the best in whatever product that they may have been purchasing or getting from another country, and being able to really strengthen those policies. Goes back again with policies, and strengthen those policies and really drilling down and even finding opportunities for the youth. And how do we develop the youth even more? How do we find those opportunities for women? So I think that, I don't agree with how fast the removal of the funds were, and even at some point the funds being removed. It should have been more gradual if that was going to be a decision. But now we're finding ourselves that you don't have those funds. So now it's the time to kind of look within and say, how do we develop it? And how do we make sure that the Nigerians or the Africans in the diaspora, they've gained a lot of experience and knowledge. How do they come back to the country that they were birthed from, to help develop them using the same expertise and knowledge that they've gained from all around the world, not just in America, but the UK, everywhere else that they've migrated to, coming back and bringing that strength to the continent that's needed. And I think that that's going to show the superpower of the continent of Africa, is when its people are able to come back and really bring the expertise back when it comes to healthcare, it comes to business development. I mean, when it all across you are that the continent of Africa and Africans are very well respected when it comes down to making a way and making something out of nothing and making it successful.
Thank you so much. In talking about the African or Nigerian expats working in the diaspora to go to their homeland to develop and bring the development that they are contributing to in the diaspora to their homeland countries. That's the essence of Linkway Diplomats. It's a kind of bridge between the West and then the African countries. But my next question with you is, I also a follow-up, question to this particular discussion about Nigerian expats, making waves in the diaspora. Nigerians are actually known, are described around the world as the smartest group of people around the world. But if you flip it on the flip side, Nigeria as a country is also described as one of the poorest countries in the world. And that to me is a dilemma, it's a dilemma. So how do you think, some people say it's a leadership problem. So how will you speak? And thank God you are also a politician, and you are also a politician practicing politics in the number one economy of the whole world. So what advice from your experience can you speak to the leaders and the citizens of Nigeria and Africa, that are described as the best, the smartest, but their homeland country is described as the poorest? It's not adding up, right?
Right. Well, my advice is going to be very modest because I do recognize that we're talking about two different cultures and two different structures. Whereas, in America, we are used to um, leaning on our Constitution when it comes to very, very diverse or very controversial issues that we deal with in America. And I know that America's the extent or the existence of America is a whole lot many more years than the freedom that Nigeria has been able to get from when they first got their independence. So I can't do a comparison with America and Nigeria because it would be very unfair. And if we were both just started the start line at the same time, then I could do it. But I would not do it. That'd be very disrespectful for me. But what I can say is that being able to, with the Nigerians in the diaspora, taking that knowledge again, I can't express it enough even when it comes down to politics, bringing it back to the country and really having that conversation with the leadership. And everything does rise and fall in leadership because the leadership is the ones creating the policies. They're the ones creating the programs. And then identifying, what programs are working and what are not. One benefit that I say that Nigerians in the diaspora have is that they have lived in Nigeria and understand that government. Then they've traveled outside of that government to America, Canada, wherever else, Germany, wherever, UK. And so now they have that experience that they actually are the ideal people to come back and make the changes that need to happen in Nigeria because they're able to see both sides of the coin. Whereas me, I only see one side. So I only can speak from my experience of being one-sided. Those who are in Nigeria, never left Nigeria, can only speak on that side. But those of you all who are Nigerians in the diaspora, you have a two-sided coin that you can look at and you can be able to do the comparison and be able to say, this is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen. So I can't express it enough. Even with this project or program we're trying to do with Georgia, Lincoln, Georgia, and Ogun State and other states in Nigeria together, it can't work unless the policy and the willingness is there. And that's where the Nigerians and the diaspora bring that strength to make it work. We, as African Americans, we want to see it work. We want to see our homeland, motherland be successful because it does have the most environmental riches and minerals that everybody around the world is getting something and extracting it from Africa. And so we want to see it work, but we're limited in our ability and our foresight on what can actually work. Like I've been over there and I can say, oh, like when I was over there in October, I got married to a Yoruba man who's actually a house leader in Iwekoro local government and also the Vice President South of the National Councilors of Nigeria. And so we have a lot of conversations, Honorable Muhid Kendi Abiola. So we have a lot of conversations about politics from Georgia and Nigeria and specifically in Ogun State. And some things I suggest to say, oh, you all need to do this. You'll say, no, babe, no, that's not gonna work over here. I was like, why? So we go into a whole conversation. So that's why I said I only see one side of the coin. And
Yes.
he sees one side of the coin. But
Yeah.
when you're able to see both sides and you take the ones that see one side and the other side and we bring everybody together,
Yes.
it'll be definitely outstanding. It can work.
Amen to that. Thank you so much. I appreciate your discussion here tonight. The last question before we go out of this segment, I know you to be a youth, you are into youth empowerment program. We see a lot of good work you are doing in Clay County, where you are resident. Summer is coming. What plan do you have for this summer for the youth empowerment program? Are you going to go beyond Clayton County to other counties this time around?
Well, this summer I'm focused a lot more on this international project. And even with it, looking at components of how to be able to develop the youth here in Georgia and the youth also in Nigeria. Because I think that also goes back to that cultural aspect, what I was saying, everybody understanding each other's culture makes it better. And if we're able to start with our young people with understanding and respecting each other's culture, then that also gives a great segue of growth between Georgia and Nigeria. So those are things I'll be focusing on this summer. I won't do the back to school block party like I did as a kind of rephrase into something else. I'm doing some work as a facilitator with the Clayton Collaborative. And we are leaders that come together to identify solutions to food access, nutrition, and physical activity. And so be having a big event in September. But even with that, even though you even talked about earlier about Nigeria, when it comes down to the poverty and even the when it comes to food, even in Georgia, we have areas that are poverty stricken and even people having challenges with food access. So we don't have all the answers, here in America, even though some people may think that, oh, America's great. No, America has a lot of challenges for taking care of, making sure that they are doing right by the people that are less privileged here. So we got some things that we can be able to take as experience here and share it there, and the same thing there to here. But I know that focusing on this project and really making it work like it should will be one of the things I'll be focusing on this summer.
Thank you so much, Chief Honorable Valencia Stova, the Eyemetu or Papalantu in the Ewekoro Kingdom, Ogun State, Southwest Nigeria. We appreciate your time and we thank you for sharing your thought with us here tonight. Thank you and do have a blessed night.
Thank you.
Viewers, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say also for those who are listening at this broadcast and you really want to get more involved with what Linkway is doing, I definitely compel you all to if you want to make donations to Linkway for the projects that they're already doing in Ogun, and they're going to be expanding, and some projects they're doing in other parts of Nigeria as well. So I know they're going to give information about that, but I did want to put the plug in, and I've been knowing Mr. Daniel for over 10 years that we've met through communities, things we've been doing and both doing in the community. So I did want to make sure that I made mention to that.
Thank you so much. We are happy that you actually made that final comment. And we thank you again for being here with us on Linkway Diplomat Hour, your community resource program. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And viewers, stay with us. After this segment, we are going to have two more of our guests that will be talking to us on the resources available in our communities. Thank you for staying with us.
Towards giving back to the host community, Linkway Outreach Africa organized a medical outreach for the people of Idoyin Igbesa in Ogun State. Linkway Outreach, a non-governmental organization located in Atlanta, Georgia, United States of America, also launched a bowel plant for the use of the people in the area. Details in this report.
Linkway Outreach Africa, a humanitarian organization, is backed by reputable individuals from all walks of life who are passionate in sacrificing their time, skills, and resources for the cause of the needy and humanity. Ogun State Deputy Governor Engineer Noimotala Kojedele, represented by the Secretary of the Adodo Local Government, Honorable Muhammad Atonda, at the event laid the foundation block of the Outreach Resource Center while appreciating the outreach for the gesture, stating that the project will add value to the community.
The water project is a unique one in the sense that number one, it adds value to the Idoyin community, the Awori land, and it also makes the entire community smiling. So it's a very good gesture.
Also, the foreign coordinator of the outreach, Daniel Emma, explains that the aim of the brand is to reach out to people in need in communities across Africa.
You said I was hungry, you visited me. I was thirsty, you gave me water. I was in the prison, you visited me. I was in the hospital, you visited me. So we took the four, which is water, food, education, and health.
Meanwhile, the country's coordinator, Daniel Adejo, while also speaking with newsmen, further explained that the objective of the outreach is to support government activities through clean water and drugs to people in need.
They support government activities, especially in the area of water supply, in the area of food support and education support, and even medical support to people who have critical need. We know government cannot do everything.
In his keynote address, the General Overseer of City of Light Church, Lagos, Pastor Sunday Babalola, urged residents of the area to cultivate the habit of giving.
Let us rise up and support Linkway. Let us rise up and be givers. Let us rise up and be doers. That was the secret of the success of good.
Some of the invited guests in their goodwill messages also enjoined Igbesa people abroad to always visit home and promote development in the area. One of the beneficiaries of the medical tests, and the Bale of Eweko Aradago, thanked the Linkway Outreach Africa for the gesture.
Welcome back to our program. Thank you for staying with us. Now we're going to have our next guest on the program, and he's Mr. John Agbo, who is a digital skill education resource person for Linkway Outreach Africa. Mr. John Agbo, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. We're talking about resources that are available for our citizens to tap into. And you are such a very, very experienced digital skill education specialist. And we can't thank God enough for bringing you onto our portfolio of resource person in Linkway Outreach Africa. Yeah, tell us about your background and experience in digital skill education generally, and how we can tap into it.
All right, thank you very much. The journey began in 2003 when I happened to be employed as one of the two first instructors in the first, or should I say, the pioneer Cisco Academy in Nigeria, in Lagos, which was the product of an intervention, downstream intervention by the United Nations Development Program. And within the 2 years that I was active there, I trained over 100 candidates in digital skills. And then eventually I moved on into full stream IT service, and I grew along the rung in my career, and eventually I headed the IT unit in my agency, where I left in 2022 for Switzerland. And I was there for about 2 years, still working with my agency. And now I'm here, and I'm really very happy to bring to bear the skill, the wealth of knowledge that to acquire. Very happy to bring it to bear and contribute my little quota with you here in Linkway, Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are so happy, more than happy, to have you as a resource person in our communities. You are talking about Cisco specifically, but in Linkway Outreach Africa, our goal is just to bring holistic digital education that will make our youth employable globally. So why not talk about some other areas of skill acquisition, like, hairdressing, tailoring, vulcanizing, and the likes? Why so specific about Cisco? Because I heard you referring to Cisco. What about other areas of digital skill education that could make our youth employable all over the world, even working from Africa remotely all over the world, and increasing the GDP of our domestic countries?
All right, thank you very much. I think I would say Cisco is just a reference point, and it's because the academy was instituted by Cisco. Just like, around the year 2000, Cisco was the most valuable company in the world, just like NVIDIA recently became the most valuable. And we knew for some time Apple was the most valuable company in the world. And then Cisco, at that moment of that great stride that it achieved, it felt that it had to give back to the community globally. And that gave back to the Cisco, to the academy called Cisco Academy. So you have that Cisco there because it was Cisco who had the initiative. The content of their curriculum and programs are not streamlined. They are not straight-jacketed Cisco programs. It cuts across the entire gamut of digital skills. They have a lot of programs in all aspects of the digital space, and which hopefully, if we have time, I'm going to touch on them. But the issue is, why digital skill? You see, India is a very good example of an economy that knew the advantage of launching into the digital, taking advantage of the digital economy. The digital economy, as you know, has been projected by 2028 to hit about $16.5 trillion, which is about 17% of global GDP. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
And so the opportunity is massive. And then why digital skill? The entry level is very low. Sometimes all you need is just your phone or just a laptop, an internet connection, and you are good to go. But for shoemaking and the rest, some of these things, you really have to set up an industry, get a big plot of land and get machineries and do a lot of trainings and all that. But for digital skills, the entry level is very low and the benefit is massive. If we have time, we'll look at some more details about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow, what a wonderful resources that are available in the digital space. What's going to be your recommendation? You see, our youth, younger ones are so blessed with knowledge. Some of them are digitally or technically savvy, but they draw this energy into illicit activities. They call something Yahoo, fraudulent of any type, So what are you going to encourage? What's your encouragement or your motivation for the parents and even youth in particular? There is a good area, an opportunity they can drive their own energy into and be making, income just from the comfort of their homes in the global market. What's going to be your motivation, advice for them, even the youth and their parents alike?
Yes, thank you very much. If you notice, I was smiling when you mentioned the Yahoo boys. In November last year, I remember I had the privilege to be a guest speaker at the NNPC property development the retreat of the senior management, and I touched on this. Most of these boys they call Yahoo boys. Not all of them are committing crime. And you will notice that the policemen and people are confused. How come you have so much money in your phone? How come you have so much money? Where is your shop? As they say here in Nigeria. Where is your office? It's because the opportunities that are available online is massive. Tell me how many of the global billionaires today, the percentage that are not, that are not in the tech or high-tech industry that we would say are significant. When you count the top richest men in the world, they are in that space. So now for the youth, in sub-Saharan Africa, I think it's West Africa, World Economic Forum says that sub-Saharan Africa will have the shortage about 5.2 million shortage in digital skill by 2023. And here we're in 2024. And only about 11% of graduates of tertiary institutions in sub-Saharan Africa have formal training in digital skills, only about 11%. So you can see that the gap is massive. And for this youth, we're going to we'll just provide for them something like a playground. When you have kids playing and they're playing football and all that, give them a playground to dissipate their energy. And you will see what possibilities emerge from the corners of the sketchy nooks and crannies of Africa. So the opportunity
Thank you so much, Mr. John. Talking about creating a playground for this energetic youth. Linkway Outreach Africa, decided to go or to build a facility in Nigeria. The pilot or the maiden facility, is ongoing in Ogun State, Nigeria. And one of the things they are going to do in their education intervention is this digital skill education. And they are trying to build what they call a resource center. And, they are putting education there. And they're talking about digital education the way you mentioned. So what's going to be your plan, talking about playing ground for the youth? And I also learned that they intend to replicate what they are doing in Ogun State around the 6 political zones of Nigeria. How do you encourage, the government or private individual or facilitators to support this, laudable program?
I think everybody has an important role to play. The sponsors, the donors who graciously deny themselves of some resources and they give it for this cause, they have a role to play. The government also has a role to play. The parents also have a role to play, or the sponsors. And then the students also have a role to play. Everybody has a role to play. what I would advise is that, first of all, this such a concept requires some form of effort to also eventually ensure sustainability. And the youth would only need, on the side of the youth, they need to be properly gagged and controlled, because the energy is, I always give this funny example. In those days when we started with, were introduced to chemistry, they talk about sodium. When you drop a piece of sodium in water, it darts and darts until it eventually, that's the kind of energy that the youth have. So you have to control the energy. And in this Cisco Academy, they will have programs that will cut across various aspects where they can make their choices, beginning from cybersecurity, network essentials, a lot of them, even programming, Linux and all that. Over 80% of servers today, even AI infrastructure run on Linux, so that and I expect the government to see this as a low-hanging fruit, in terms of the fact that it will cost them just a little and the impact will be enormous. So that's how I see it. And parents should not feel that when I talk of the government, I also talk of the institutions. They shouldn't see kids who get involved in digital opportunities as fraudsters. So everybody has some kind of role.
Hello, everyone. We will go on short break, and when we come back, we will continue from where we start.
Is there anything as tormenting to the soul like the deep, long cry of a sucking child whose mother has just been killed? Or the wailing of a mother at night whose child has just been hacked to death in her arms? Or the groaning of a helpless man watching his ancestral home and farmland burnt down to ashes? This is the real story of thousands of voices scattered in camps at the backside of many towns and cities in our country. Countless thousands have been displaced by communal clashes from their ancestral lands and homes where they have lived for many generations. The most painful part of this story is that some even deny the existence of these camps. We encountered a boy who is now 12 years old, who was born in one of these camps. That is the only place he knows as home. It is the only life he knows. He has never seen the world beyond the walls of this camp. You can only imagine his shock when for the first time he was brought out to see the city just beyond the limit of his camp. This is not fiction. This is the true story of one out of countless thousands and millions who once lived in the comfort of their homes. Terror is an evil that no one should ever pray to encounter. It was terror, insurgency, and neglect that has brought such a depraved lifestyle on countless Nigerians. Mega Worship International Concert is a musical expression of the pains of these our brothers, sisters, and neighbors. These songs try to paint the real pictures of all citizens who have been living in fear for years. We want you to feel their pains. We want you to imagine that it could have been you. But above all, we want you to be moved to help. Help these children and helpless people to find a reason to smile. We ask you to support in cash and kind in our combined efforts to build better homes for them. A conglomerate of singers and musicians have risen to give a voice to the voiceless. Mega Worship International Concert is an initiative of Linkway Outreach Africa and the Panam Charity. Don't let any child go to bed hungry again. Don't let a child sleep outside without shelter over their head. Rise up and give. You will be saving a soul.
Welcome back to the program. We are sorry for that little technical glitches. My guests still remain Mr. John Agbo, who is the Digital Skill Education Coordinator for Linkway Outreach Africa. Mr. John, you're welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
No, where we stopped, I was talking about your advice to both the parents and the youth to take advantage of these available resources in digital skill education, innovation that Linkway Outreach Africa is offering the communities. What's your advice? I know you talked about it, but can you wrap up with your thoughts on that advice to both the parents and the youth?
Okay, in a nutshell, the youth, I would advise that all the youth that will have the privilege to be in these facilities should be focused and disciplined and ensure that they get the best out of it, because there is that great opportunity for them to join the global workforce. We are already in another industrial evolution, and they have that opportunity. India IT sector contribute almost 20% of the GDP, and for Nigeria, the ICT sector is projected to contribute up to 18%. For parents should support the institution, in any way they can by playing their roles to ensure that what is needed to get the institution rolling as far as their own responsibilities are concerned is brought to bear.
Thank you so much. The final question for you is that how are we going to walk the talk in terms of Linkway Outreach Africa that you coordinate the digital education, resource. So how do you make this training available, to the community, the youth, and even some parents that want to go into the technical world of education? So how do you intend? So what are the roadmaps, making advantage of the facility that Linkway Outreach Africa is building? I know Linkway Outreach Africa has an accommodation for digital skill education training. The country coordinator was talking about CBT center and the like. So how do you plan to make these resources available to the beneficiaries?
Yeah, the good thing is that there is a ready-made world-class curriculum available already. We're not developing any new curriculum. It's a tested curriculum that has been very dynamic. It has evolved since the year 2000 up till now. So the curriculum is there. And as soon as the facility is ready and the first intakes come in, the process starts. The process is essentially hands-on because people are being trained for roles. You are trained to be immediately relevant for the industry. So, and that's the approach we are going to take. And the program generally has runs in 2 to 4 semesters, depending on the particular curriculum that the students are taking. So, and that's it. And also, there will be several innovative approaches to ensure sustainability of that of the program. So, and all of these are not details that we can begin to elucidate now for want of time. So, it will be very good. It will be made public, and but we will concentrate more on the community, and there will be special program for those that are less privileged, because there are some who may not be able to afford, and this is where those who can sponsor will have to come in to ensure that nobody is left behind. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. John Agbo, the Digital Education Coordinator for Linkway Outreach Africa. It is on this note that we want to sincerely thank you for your time tonight, sharing with us the resources that are available in terms of digital skill education. Thank you, and you have a blessed evening.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to the country coordinator of Linkway Outreach Africa. He'll be sharing with us the vision. How far has it gone with that mission in Africa? Thank you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Towards giving back to the host community, Linkway Outreach Africa organized a medical outreach for the people of Idoyin Igbesa in Ogun State. Linkway Outreach, a non-governmental organization located in Atlanta, Georgia, United States of America, also launched a bowel plant for the use of the people in the area. Details in this report.
Linkway Outreach Africa, a humanitarian organization, is backed by reputable individuals from all walks of life who are passionate in sacrificing their time, skills, and resources for the cause of the needy and humanity. Ogun State Deputy Governor Engineer Noimotala Kojedile, represented by the Secretary of the Adodo Local Government, Honorable Muhammad Atonda, at the event laid the foundation block of the Outreach Resource Center while appreciating the outreach for the gesture, stating that the project will add value to the community.
The water project is a unique one in the sense that, number one, it adds value to the Idoyin community, the Awori land, and it also makes the entire community smiling. So it's a very good gesture.
Also, the foreign coordinator of the outreach, Daniel Emma, explains that the aim of the brand is to reach out to people in need in communities across Africa.
You said I was hungry, you visited me. I was thirsty, you gave me water. I was in the prison, you visited me. I was in the hospital, you visited me. So we took the four, which is water, food, education, and health.
Meanwhile, the country's coordinator, Daniel Adejo, while also speaking with newsmen, further explained that the objective of the outreach is to support government activities through clean water and drugs to people in need.
Support government activities, especially in the area of water supply, in the area of food support and education support, and even medical support to people who have critical need. We know government cannot do everything.
In his keynote address, the General Overseer of City of Light Church, Lagos, Pastor Sunday Babalola, urged residents of the area to cultivate the habit of giving.
Let us rise up and support Linkway. Let us rise up and be givers. Let us rise up and be doers. That was the secret of the success of growth.
Some of the invited guests in their goodwill messages also enjoined Igbesa people abroad to always visit home and promote development in the area. One of the beneficiaries of the medical tests, and the Bale of Eweko Aradago, thanked the Linkway Outreach Africa for the gesture.
Is there anything as tormenting to the soul like the deep, long cry of a sucking child whose mother has just been killed? Or the wailing of a mother at night whose child has just been hacked to death in her arms? Or the groaning of a helpless man watching his ancestral home and farmland burnt down to ashes? This is the real story of thousands of voices scattered in camps at the backside of many towns and cities in our country. Countless thousands have been displaced by communal clashes from their ancestral lands and homes where they have lived for many generations. The most painful part of this story is that some even deny the existence of these camps. We encountered a boy who is now 12 years old, who was born in one of these camps. That is the only place he knows as home. It is the only life he knows. He has never seen the world beyond the walls of this camp. You can only imagine his shock when for the first time he was brought out to see the city just beyond the limit of his camp. This is not fiction. This is the true story of one out of countless thousands and millions who once lived in the comfort of their homes. Terror is an evil that no one should ever pray to encounter. It was terror, insurgency, and neglect that has brought such a depraved lifestyle on countless Nigerians. Mega Worship International Concert is a musical expression of the pains of these our brothers, sisters, and neighbors. These songs try to paint the real pictures of all citizens who have been living in fear for years. We want you to feel their pains. We want you to imagine that it could have been you. But above all, we want you to be moved to help. Help these children and helpless people to find a reason to smile. We ask you to support in cash and kind in our combined efforts to build better homes for them. A conglomerate of singers and musicians have risen to give a voice to the voiceless. Mega Worship International Concert is an initiative of Linkway Outreach Africa and the Panam Charity. Don't let any child go to bed hungry again. Don't let a child sleep outside without shelter over their head. Rise up and give. You will be saving a soul.
Welcome back to the program. You're still on Linkway Diplomats Hour, your community resource network program. My next guest on the program tonight, this is going to be the final segment of today's episode. And we have with me tonight, Pastor Daniel Adejo, the country coordinator of Linkway Outreach Africa. Pastor Daniel, welcome to the program tonight.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me tonight on Linkway Diplomat Hour.
Thank God we have you at last. We had a little bit of problem trying to bring you on, but thank God you are here at last with us. Welcome to the program.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yes, you are doing a very great work, community work in Africa, Linkway Outreach Africa. Tell us about your mission and what's your operation, in community development in Africa.
All right. As we all know, for those who have been familiar with Linkway Diplomat Hour, Linkway Outreach Africa is an offshoot of Linkway Diplomats Incorporated in Georgia, but we are fully incorporated in Nigeria, so we have our own board in Nigeria. The essence is to link area of need with the area of resources. So we are a link between resources and the area of need. And we've been doing this since 2016 when Linkway Outreach Africa was established in Nigeria. 4 basic areas we concentrate. Number 1 is water, and that's the project we started with. And then number 2 is food. Number 3 is education. And number 4 is medical. Those are essentials, basic necessity of life for people. And those are the areas that we concentrate in helping people out who are in critical need. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I understand you have started this project for since 2017. Tell us your experience in terms of funding. How do you fund all this project that you are doing, the 4 areas that you mentioned?
All right. Interestingly, our funding is, supposed to be in 4 areas, but we have 3 of those areas that are functional at the moment. The 4th area I will explain, and hopefully this broadcast will help us to be able to launch into the 4th area. The first area is internal revenue. This is very minimal, I may say, but very, very important. The internal revenue comes from individuals who are part of Linkway, especially board members. When we have any project, critical project, we tax one another, we make contribution within, and then we fund the project. The second aspect is donation. Donation can come from the public, can come from within, and donation go into a pool of fund. And so when we have project in a particular need area, for instance, recently when we had the flood issue in Maiduguri, Borno State in Nigeria, it was quite devastating. We had to, go into our purse and help the people who were displaced as a result of the flood in Maiduguri. Now, the 3rd area is sponsorship. Sponsorship is simply that you may be in the diaspora and you want to execute a project, maybe in your family compound in Nigeria or any part of Africa, or in your community or in your state, and trust issue is a very big issue in relationship between our people over there in the diaspora and over here in Africa. Most times you hear stories of individuals who give out funds for projects to be executed, and probably to their brothers and relations and friends, and the project end up not being executed. And so it becomes a very serious disappointment at the end of the day. So what we have done over the years is to build trust, and that's why our core value is trust and accountability. So the sponsors will select particular project in particular area, and then they fund it, and we have it executed. So for the sponsors, they have the say. They have the say. Then the last part is the government and foundation grant. Government support and foundation grant. That is the 4th area, which is not active at the moment, but thank God for the inauguration of the center that we had recently in Ogun State. And we want to thank again the Deputy Governor of Ogun State who sent a representative to represent her at that occasion, and also made a pledge which she has fulfilled. So I would say that that's the first fund from a public figure that has come into Linkway. And we are happy that that's a starting point for government and grant. So those are the 4 areas: internal revenue, donations, sponsors, and grants and government support.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adejo, for explaining that to us. We have seen programs like this with fantastic ideas, and and they come up, but no sooner than they come up, they're folded up. So, what's your sustainable plan for this wonderful program that you are doing?
I know if anyone that is conversant with what we do, which is non-governmental, non-for-profit, we run a non-for-profit organization, non-governmental organization. If you are well-versed and experienced in this particular area, you know that you live on donations and live on fundraising and all that. But there's what we call sponsors apathy. And it gets to a point where the sponsors begin to feel weak. Some of them have donated and donated, but the needs keep increasing. The more they donate, the more need to be dealt with, so to say. And it gets to a point, some of them will feel that, well, for how long are we going to have this? So we are aware that this would happen. And for that reason, we are delving into agriculture seriously, thinking of agriculture. And right now, we have a portion of land that is being offered to us, although we'll be paying some lease on it, like a rent, annual rent on the land. And we have option to a portion of land up to 10 to 15 acres of land somewhere in Kogi State. And we want to run a pilot over there. We are looking at starting probably with 5 hectares. 5 hectares of land. And we believe that when we go fully into this, it will help our Feed the People project, which is our agricultural-based project. And we can also have some of those produce, sold to the people at a very subsidized rate. It will be just like a support to what we are doing from them. So, and we will be very, very prudent in ensuring that the right people that should access, because sometimes you will see a trader may come and buy off and still go and sell it exorbitantly, and that means our mission is defeated. But once we make sure that it's those in critical need of those food items that come over to buy them at perhaps half the price in the open market, that will be our way of giving to the society. And the little, fund that we raise from that can help us to sustain the farming and what have you. So even in the area of education, we're planning out an ICT center and would give a subsidy. We'll subsidize whatever cost that comes from it. Mr. Agbo was talking earlier on this program about the Cisco Academy. If we subsidize that, that's a way of yielding some fund that will go back into running that program. And we are trusting also for the center in Ogun State. We've discussed with the deputy governor, and she said once it's ready, they will see how government can help sponsor the youth in Ogun State so that they can be Cisco certified networkers. And we believe this will go a long way. So those are our sustainability plan, because we know that donors will not always be there. And sometimes they can be discouraged by continuous giving and giving and giving, except those who are wired to give without fading or wailing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your thoughts on that and explaining to us, to our viewers. recently we saw on television, UGTV, that Linkway Outreach Africa inaugurated a facility in Ogun State, Nigeria. And what is your intention? What are you going to do with such a facility? Tell us, the details of what you'll be doing from that facility.
All right. The facility is christened Linkway Community Resource Center. Linkway Community Resource Center, and it's what inaugurated, or better still, the foundation laying ceremony happened on the 26th of April, which is sometimes last week or the upper week. And the reason we're putting together that center is to ensure that we have a base. First is for visibility, and for to also have a brand presence for Linkway Outreach Africa. Since 2016 that we're incorporated, and when I joined in 2017, all our activities have been virtual, through phone, through laptop, we communicate, but no physical presence, no structural presence. And that's number one reason we want to have that, so that people who say, oh, Linkway, they are saying Linkway this, Linkway there, where are they? They are invisible. No, we are not invisible. We have a space in Ogun State now in our Linkway Community Resource Center. Number two is to give our brethren in the diaspora the opportunity of having a resource center where they can leverage on. For those who, Linkway is not the only organization that is into outreaches. There are people who carry out medical outreach. There are, doctors that visit Nigeria or Africa from time to time, and they carry out medical outreach. Some carry out food outreach, several other kinds of outreach. And many of these sister organizations, as I want to call them, do not have a base in Nigeria. Sometimes when they come around, there's no particular place. They're probably going to rent a warehouse where they keep their facilities before launching into whatever location in Nigeria they want to do that. But with the Linkway Linkway Community Resource Center, where we will have a mini clinic and also a storehouse. So apart from Linkway Outreach Africa outreaches, other affiliates who want to carry out outreach in Nigeria, particularly, or even neighboring countries like Benin Republic, Ghana, whatever, can use Linkway Community Resource Center as a base to carry out their outreaches. And then moreover, when we are raising volunteers, right, in that center. So when people from the diaspora come and they need volunteers for their outreaches, they won't need to start scouting and recruiting afresh. We already have a pool of volunteers, and through our resource center, they can easily reach those volunteers. So those are, few of the reasons why it became necessary for us to set up, the resource center. And very critical, like John Agbo stated earlier on this program, is the ICT center. Once the ICT center is set up, we can now use it. When we complete the Linkway Community Resource Center, one of the sections will be ICT center. With that ICT center, we can run these digital skills for the youth of Ogun State and other parts of Nigeria, and even the neighboring country like Benin, Togo, and Ghana. They can easily access, because we are at the border area between Nigeria and Benin Republic, and even Togo and Ghana.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Daniel Adejo, the country coordinator of Linkway Outreach Africa. Before we go on our final break, I have one question for you, and then you actually give us your closing segment. The question will be, there is this biblical story of Joseph, and I'm talking about the food insecurity that is all over the world, but more in Africa. especially in Nigeria. Nigeria has an overwhelming population. And so also the food insecurity is among us over there. So this biblical story of Joseph of the Bible, there was a time there was food crisis in Israel, and they have to go back to Joseph in the foreign land to take solace. Now, what is going to be your message for African in diaspora, Nigerians in diaspora, that could be, good Samaritan in terms of trying to bring succor, to address the food insecurity in Nigeria using Linkway Outreach Africa platform? What's your message for them tonight?
Well, just drawing inference from what you have, the story of Joseph that you have given, I want to say to my brethren in the diaspora, you can be the Joseph of our days. You can be the Joseph of our days. When Joseph was in prison in Egypt, he thought that was the end of his life. He was begging for him to be released. But God made sure that he stayed there until the appointed time. And when it was the appointed time, it was the period of food crisis. But God revealed that within that period of food crisis, he's going to bring abundance to the land of Egypt. And he revealed that through Joseph. And Pharaoh made Joseph the anchor and said, okay, if God has spoken this through you, if this revelation has come and God has brought interpretation through you, there's no better person than yourself to handle this project. So he went into this massive agricultural project and then started storing. As he was producing, he was storing. He was storing for the rainy day. And that is why our Linkway Community Resource Center has a warehouse. And we are looking at, by the time our facility coming up in Kogi State is fully operational, we will have silos where we will store the grains or the produce from our farm for the time of need. A time of need such as when we had flood issue, a time of need such as in Plateau State, when a whole community is raised down by marauders, and then the people render homeless, and the food becomes a critical need, we can now go into our storehouse and then support them. Then our brethren in the diaspora, since you are not at home, your $1, your $10, your $100, depending on how God has blessed you, your $1,000, your $1 million can go a long way in ensuring this food security, in ensuring food security. Right now, we have lots of food insecurity, and it's caused by either some natural crisis or natural occurrence like the flood we talked about. Many farmlands were washed away, or even human man-made, crisis like the marauders that raid farms, kill farmers, and make them to run away from their traditional home so that they are unable to produce. But if you in the diaspora can come and join your hands with us with what we're doing in Linkway Outreach Africa, no matter how small what you are supporting with is, it may be $1. $1 by a million people will become $1 million. $10 by 10,000 people, it goes a long way. So it doesn't have to be so big, but you can support. Mother Teresa said, if you cannot feed all the people, at least feed one. If you cannot feed all the people, at least feed one. If everybody believes that if I feed one, I have done something, then you discover that when everyone feed one, everyone will be fed.
Thank you so much, Pastor Dan. My producer is actually signaling to me that our time is off. But before we close tonight, I wanted to find out, as you're speaking about Operation Joseph, or being Joseph of tonight, a lot of people are thinking about how they can actually make it happen, walk the talk. So how would there, people, if people want to contribute, and we are talking about Nigerian, African diasporas and Africans that are living in homeland as well. There are some of them that are thinking that this is a very good program, is a good idea. How do they, what are those accounts? How can you, mention to them the way they can contribute and make this thing happen?
Okay, we have two basic accounts that we use for Linkway activities. One is the Naira account, and so if you want to make contribution in Naira, which is the home currency of Nigeria, the legal tender in Nigeria, you can do that through our Naira account. The other, we have a domiciliary account, which is in dollar. And so we have a dollar account. Both accounts are domiciled as at today with Zenith Bank of Nigeria. And we'll find a way of flashing the account so that you can make your option. If you want to make donation in Naira, you can do that to our Naira account. And if you want to make donation in dollars, you can do that through our dollar account. And but if you also, your donation can be in material. And if you want to make material donations to us, yes, we'll joyfully receive them. And once they are shipped down, we can keep them in our storehouse until a need for them arises, and then we ship them to the area of need.
Okay, thank you so much. Before we go, maybe our producer will actually flash the account for Linkway Diplomats, which is the coordinating body in the diaspora for Linkway Outreach Africa. We'll flash that so that they can see it. The final, statement that I want you to make is to talk to the government, the local government, the state government, because I realize that you will be duplicating your resource center around the 6 geopolitical zones. And we need a partnership. The acceptance, like the Ogun State accepted you could tell from their body language. The state government was actually, very, very cooperative. The deputy governor was also part of it, and you can see, I heard you mention that he actually, redeemed her pledge. So how can you speak to other government, the state government, the federal government, the local government to partner with this program?
All right. In the interview I had with OGTV during the, I did state that not achieve everything. All right. Government alone cannot achieve everything. And because government alone cannot achieve everything, there's a need for partnership. And though there are partnerships with the private sector, they call it, talking about non-governmental and non-for-profit organizations like Linkway Outreach Africa, so that the best of, through that cooperation, we can meet the need of the people in collaborative terms. So Ogun State has taken a step in that. Even the gesture of the deputy governor sending a representative to our inauguration alone is more than enough. And we are hoping that by the time we complete this project, as we have promised Ogun State people through the Ogun State television, that the project, we are trusting God that in 9 months, because they specifically ask how long will it take? Because many organizations start something like this and it now becomes forever. But we told them in 9 months, we are trusting God that this will be standing. So now after Ogun State, we are looking at moving to other regions. And so I'm calling on the governors, state governors, local government chairmen, that when we come knocking at your door, please open those doors to us, because we are helping, we are linking our hands to yours so that the people that you govern, they elected you there so that you can, bring relief to them. And God has sent us as a channel to bring relief to the people who are in critical need. So why not join your hands with us when we come knocking? I'm hoping that you will open the door and we join our hands together and be able to put smile on the faces of the people in critical need. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pastor Dan. We thank you so much. We appreciate you for coming to share your thought with us tonight on Linkway Diplomat Hour. And we thank you, and we believe that our next episode, when we call on you, you will make yourself available. Our viewers, we thank you tonight for being with us. This is where we are going to draw the curtain on our program tonight. We thank you so much for staying with us, and we hope that you have benefited from the information tonight. Thank you, and God bless.